Hi everybody, I am here at Well Seen in Atlanta. I'm super excited because I'm going to be sharing with you the presentation I'm providing a whole bunch of health and wellness enthusiasts here in the Atlanta area. In today's video, you're going to hear me talk about 3 ways to use functional nutrition to heal your gut, heal your hormones, and heal your skin. I'm so excited to take you into my presentation.
I want to introduce our next speaker, and this is Dr. Melissa Gallagher. Now, she is a local naturopathic physician with over a decade of clinical work and training in the fields of nutrition, lymphatic disorders, and neuroendocrine balancing. Dr. Melissa has worked with over 50,000 patients, from infants to elders to professional athletes, even Olympians like Serena Williams. We all love Serena. And Dr. Melissa's global reach is over 3 million individuals seeking natural wellness resources by way of her YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to it, Natural Health Resources. All right, so let's go ahead and welcome Dr. Melissa Gallagher.
I am so excited to be here with you today. My team's kind of helping me set up because I've brought some things to demonstrate for you. So I always like to use props in my talks with everybody. But I am Dr. Melissa Gallagher. I'm a naturopathic physician, and I am actually an Atlanta transplant. I have just moved up here. It's been about a year and a half now, and so I'm getting a little bit better acquainted with the traffic and the really cold weather, hence my warm shoes. I actually have several different degrees and training in naturopathic medicine. I also have a master's in nutrition and an additional master's in metabolic nutrition and neuroendocrine balancing. So I'm really excited because not only am I here in Atlanta working with you guys, I actually have brought my production crew. I have a YouTube channel. Now I think we're at 73,000 subscribers. So this video over there will actually be on my YouTube channel. Okay, I'm gonna bring Kayla, and this is Lauren. They're doing some videoing. So Kayla's gonna get up on stage, and when I'm gonna do a countdown. We're gonna 1, 2, 3 countdown, and everybody jump up and get excited about optimizing your wellness. Ready? On 1. We're gonna burn off the lunch energy. All right, ready? On 1, 2, 3. Woo! Thanks, ladies. That was so fun. So one of the things that I found, we moved up here. My family moved up here. I grew up in St. Pete, so the Tampa Bay area. Anybody familiar with the St. Pete, Tampa Bay area? Yay! Oh my God. So my practice was a half a mile from the beach, and my home was half a mile from the beach, and in between was a bridge. And so literally, I would drive to work and see dolphins, and I worked with individuals in my clinic. I was one of the first wellness centers that hit the St. Pete market over a decade ago. And fast forward to a year and a half ago, my husband's company knocked on the door. They knocked actually 2 or 3 times. And so we ended up making a big lifestyle change. But that move was really a big change. And instead of just working with folks individually, I had this YouTube channel. So that's why you'll see my production crew here. I've cultivated my education to the masses and really to this universe that I just look at a video and talk and try and educate. And that's my goal here today. So I know that a lot of you may be dealing with autoimmunity or hormonal imbalances or fatigue or just feeling run down, completely exhausted, pulled on both sides of the spectrum. And I really want to talk to you about how to use food to balance your endocrine system. So that's going to be the first part of our discussion. And I actually love to incorporate food. A lot of times we're eating food and it tastes great and it's got a lot of savory qualities. And we might be counting calories or doing the latest fads, but we're not necessarily honing in to the power of food and what foods to eat when especially when we're in our menstrual cycling. So I want to first talk a little bit about stress. How many of you feel some degree of stress? Okay. How many of you actually tested your stress hormone, your cortisol levels? Anybody? Okay. So that's a good thing when you're at home, kind of drill down into looking at cortisol. It's a hormone that our body, our adrenal glands produces, and it literally controls everything. It controls your hormone structure, it controls your digestive process, the state of your skin, it controls the aging process. So all those things you raise your hand to, if we can harness the power of certain herbs, for instance, we can start to control the stress hormone. And there's a lot of scientific research and findings that cortisol, literally managing that, is the key to the fountain of youth. And so that I want to kind of drill down into some things, some herbs that I love. Are you guys familiar? Has anybody had kava tea? Anybody familiar with kava? Okay, so growing up in St. Pete, actually my high school that I went to, across the street, we had a kava shop. And I wish we need to have a kava shop here in Atlanta. Kava is this amazing herb, it's a root, that actually can balance and lower your cortisol levels. And you can drink a kava tea. So I brought my little yogi. They actually quite well on the marketing stress relief, kava tea. So kava can actually help minimize your cortisol levels. And at night, if you take this, it can actually help decrease the cortisol that you're experiencing that might be keeping you up at night, either with insomnia or if you're waking up between 1 and 3 a.m. in the morning. Anybody kind of that's speaking to some folks in the house at 1 to 3 a.m.? So kava is highly beneficial. Now, the other thing that you can take any time during the day is passion flower. Passion flower is a great tea resource. Any passion flower drinkers out there? It's beautiful. And I live in Roswell. We have a coffee shop, Crazy Love Coffee Shop, that has one of the best passion flower teas out there. It's so good. This cup of calm actually has passion flower in it. And if you find that your job is stressful, or you have a presentation or a deadline, or just life is kind of kicking up with stress, and let's be honest, we're in the holiday stretch, it's stressful, this would be a good solution for you to add to your daily intake. And the cup of calm comes from traditional medicinals. I love their tea. Cortisol imbalance leads often to thyroid imbalances. Anybody here dealing with Hashimoto's? I heard in our introductions a lot of focus on the spectrum, hyperthyroidism to hypothyroidism, and everything in between. So I want to share with you some very impactful resources that are good alternatives to some of the healthy things you might be doing. For instance, one of the salts that's really trendy right now is Himalayan salt. Anybody using Himalayan salt, Celtic salt? So a good switch, and still maintaining the salt flavor, is actually switching to kelp granules. Anybody consuming kelp granules right now? Okay, so this is fantastic. And there's some other things I want to kind of drill down as well that's a resource for you. So this you can actually buy online. I think Whole Foods up here sells this. But this kelp, 1 teaspoon of this is literally 330% of your daily iodine intake. That's intense, and that's really good. So iodine, for us women, when we're concerned about uterine health, it's really important that we enhance our iodine receptivity and our iodine intakes. And these little granules, I love to make scrambled eggs in the morning, and I just sprinkle a little bit in the scrambled egg mix. You can also put this in a smoothie, and it's got a little salty taste. It's not anything crazy seaweedy flavor, but you're gonna be getting a lot of good, healthy iodine. And fertility, I wanna kind of approach fertility as well. I've spoken to several of you, and we've had some discussions over at my table. If we're looking at supporting the state of our uterine health, it becomes really important that we have iodine in our body, because the lack of iodine is usually the precursory state for endometrial fibroids and ovarian cysts. So if anybody's dealing with polycystic ovarian syndrome, iodine's a great solution for you, okay? And the other seaweedy type of, seaweedy type of component, this is actually ground dulse. And this it comes from the same company, and I usually put my little spices in these little things, but it comes from the same company, Sea Seasonings, and it's out of Maine. And I also want to caution you guys, when you are consuming seaweed, because of Fukushima in Japan, I lived in Japan for a year. I've studied over there. It's very important that we're cognizant of not only our fish, where it's coming from, Pacific or Atlantic, that we also be very cognizant of our sea vegetables, where they're sourcing. So these dulse flakes come from Maine, and you can actually use a coffee grinder, grind these up, and if you are consuming vegetarian pasta, you can add it into your pasta. If you're consuming or making, like with our toddler, I sneak everything into his food. I make little baked goods, I'll grind these up and mix it into his gluten-free cookies that I make him. We call them mommy cookies. And also you can do the same if you have meatballs and different items that are baked and you can kind of roll. But the dulse is fantastic for really supporting your breast health and your uterine health. And I think that's one of the most important things that many women go to their OBGYNs and they're not getting fully tested in the thyroid panel. And this is the other thing that is a component. If you present with Hashimoto's, there's a lot of literature or even information out on the internet that would tell you stay away from iodine. And that's actually clinically somewhat inaccurate in terms of you need iodine plus you need selenium, which I love these bad boys. These are Brazil nuts. Does anybody consume Brazil nuts on a daily basis? Yes, okay. So 3 of these Brazil nuts gives you your daily intake of selenium. And this is really, really key for not only if you're presenting with Hashimoto's, it's reversible. I reverse it with so many of my patients with diet, lifestyle changes, stress management, but also by consuming Brazil nuts plus the iodine-rich sea vegetables. And these guys, I love to get raw. They also have roasted that are really tasty. But 3, that's all you need. If you want to consume more, have at it. The other thing that these little Brazil nuts are going to do is selenium is one of the minerals that's going to be essential for your body to balance your blood sugar levels and minimize your insulin resistance and glucose intolerance. And this is really key for cycling women. We want to minimize our risk of polycystic ovarian syndrome, the whole uterine health. It becomes really key that we have core minerals. And you can get a lot of good minerals from nuts. And I love Brazil nuts. I think they are underrated, absolutely. How many of you, are you guys familiar with seed cycling? Anybody? Okay, so I'm going to do a YouTube video on this because it's a really wonderful way to use food to balance our menstrual cycle. And this is for all women. This can be for teenage girls, if any of you have teenage daughters or teenage cousins, as well as all of us menstrual cycling, perimenopausal, and even women menopausal and postmenopausal. It's actually using 4 different types of seeds throughout the cycling month. So there's the beginning phase, so from day 1 to day 14, and then from day 14 to the day you start your cycle. Anywhere from 28, 29, depending on your cycle. So we actually use 2 different seeds. I'm grabbing my seeds. So there are plants that have, we call them plant-based hormones. We are commonly known, we know plant estrogens, like soy, right? So soy is really common, but the other types of seeds and foods that have estrogen in them are not as commonly known. So flax seeds are great for the beginning of your menstrual cycling phase. So from day 1 to day 14, if you are a flaxseed lover, go ahead, grind up your flaxseed, add it to your yogurt or your smoothie mixes. This is really good. But On the flip side, if you are dealing with hormonal imbalances and presenting with symptoms of estrogen dominance, you want to really kind of scale back on your flaxseed intake after in that what we call the luteal phase, from day 14 to the day you start your cycle. So this is where seed cycling is all about, like when you eat the seeds based on what they deliver into your body. And the other estrogen-rich seed are pumpkin seeds. And these are great. Pumpkin seeds, I think 5 years ago, were considered the superfood, like a certain year, and it's a bad, and everybody's eating them. And it's very great when you draw attention to these foods, but sometimes we can overdo it. And in the case of seed cycling, we want to harness the power of this food to help us regulate our menstrual cycles and regulate our entire endocrine cycle. So pumpkin seeds are great again, day 1 to day 14. The other two seeds are lesser known. These are progesterone balancing and enhancing. These are seeds that actually deliver a plant-oriented progesterone. They help us increase our progesterone levels. Generally, if you are dealing with a lot of stress, the cortisol hormone your body's producing actually leaches your progesterone levels. It literally steals your progesterone to manufacture itself. So these two become crucial. So the first one are sesame seeds. So sesame seeds are great to help balance the estrogen dominant state your body might be in. And then sunflower seeds. And you can have sunflower seeds in whole or raw form. And I know there's sunflower butter that you can add in. So you can get really kind of adventurous with your consumption. But this is going to be really key if you are dealing with any type of menstrual hormonal imbalances. The other thing, going back into blood sugar balances. So we talked a little bit about the thyroid, talked about chromium, where we can eat Brazil nuts to balance our blood sugar levels. There's an underlying current for so many of us women that is not being addressed, and it is insulin resistance, or what we call glucose intolerance. So when I test with my ladies that come to my clinic and my practice, I actually practice in Sandy Springs, and I have a home-based studio where I do all my videos and virtual consults with men and women. The majority of the tests that I run or see coming into my practice, or fasting glucose will be in the high 80s, low 90s. And traditionally, your normal medical reading would say, okay, it's totally fine. But then the A1C, this is a broader scope of the insulin resistance or metabolism of sugar, blood sugar in your body, they're actually in an elevated state. They're usually in a high 4.8, 4.9, 5.2, and sometimes even higher. Those numbers tell us if you have blood sugar imbalances, two things. Most of the time, cortisol is going to be the root of it. That's stress hormone. When we have high stress hormone, it spikes our insulin levels. When we have an insulin spike, we actually see blood sugar spiking, and we see the storage of that in our body. Our liver stores insulin in its container. That insulin that gets stored actually sets us up to be not receptive to future batches of blood sugar. So one of the things that I love to recommend that has a multi-layered purpose is broccoli. Are you guys eating a lot of broccoli? It's a super vegetable. So broccoli is going to give you a good, if you eat a head like this is going to give you a daily dose of chromium. Chromium's a key mineral as well as selenium. So 3 Brazil nuts and a head of broccoli will help balance out your blood sugar. And this becomes really crucial because a lot of the insulin resistance and the glucose intolerance that men and women deal with, it's global. And even kids now, I'm seeing tons of preteens dealing with this. One of the key facets here is that the liver gets toxic. We have a liver that needs detoxing. We have a liver that literally is not functioning like it needs to. And in Chinese medicine, the focus is the liver is the root. It's the heart of your hormone balance. So we have to really take care of the liver by giving and balancing your blood sugar with key minerals. And the other thing, just to finish up the hormone component, How many of you utilize, and this is really great, just after Sarah, she had such a great conversation with you about skincare. We actually don't really think about skincare as a nutrient source. Transdermal delivery, we know that hormone patches, but we don't really see beyond that. And one of the things that I work with a ton of cancer patients and women and men post mastectomies. I do lymphatic work, so I see the net result of this very major destruction on the body. One of the things that we really, I think, fail to do as women is to treat the skin and the tissue of the breast like we do our natural skincare routine. And it becomes really important that we actually deliver nutrients transdermally. And you can do it through something like this. This is called the Happy Breast Balm. And this 4-nutrient, very dense Lugol's solution. So it has iodine, so you get topical iodine. It has magnesium. That's another great transdermal delivery process. It also has coconut oil and then a whole assortment of essential oils that are very nutrient delivering to the breast tissue and actually help minimize dense fibrotic cystic breasts. And so if that's a kind of a label you've been given when you go to your OBGYN, I definitely want to encourage you to think about using transdermal delivery sources or nutrition to help support your breast tissue. Because if I can help any woman minimize the destruction that chemotherapy and surgeries and lymph node removal does, then I'll have fulfilled my life's purpose. So I actually have several bottles of this at my table. So if you guys are interested, I brought some things to give to you guys. Next topic is really going to go deep into the gut health. So I just want to briefly talk about 2 key food sources for the gut. Your digestive process is the heart of your immunity. It's the heart of your energy, and it becomes a really key system that we need to balance so that you can get all the nutrient density in the food you're consuming. So I work with a ton of women and men who spend a ton of money juicing, time and money, expense. I buy these really expensive juicers, but if their digestive process isn't optimized, they're not really intaking all of the core nutrients. So some of the things that I like to recommend is not only supplementing, but really drilling down into getting food and prebiotics for the probiotics. How many of you consume a food-based probiotic here every day? Okay. So some of the things that the probiotics are really key. Prebiotics make your probiotics flourish. It's like the natural miracle grow, the root enhancer to the digestive process. How many of you are familiar with chicory root? Anybody? Chicory root? It's commonly known as inulin. That is an ingredient you'll probably find and be more familiar with in some of the items that you're consuming. I've seen inulin more in the protein bars and some of the more vegetarian, vegan-based energy bars. But these are chicory granules. This is literally chicory root, and you can grind this up or you can make a tea. And chicory is an insoluble fiber that really helps support probiotic flourishment. And it's crucial. If you're going to eat foods that are probiotic rich, like kombucha and kimchi and sauerkraut and kefir and yogurt, it becomes really important that you actually get a prebiotic. You want to feed that good probiotic in your body. And I go to conferences, every year I go to a conference in Miami that looks at the epigenetics and the Human Genome Project, and we really drill in every year. We drill down into the state of the gut health and our awareness and research about gut healing. One of the things that we know is there are tons of probiotics we need for a healthy gut. Some strains literally get wiped out. We have extinct strains. We're walking around. They're like dinosaurs. They're gone out of our body. You can still consume items that are probiotics like yogurt or kefir, but goat milk is great. So I grabbed this at Trader Joe's. Goat milk is the most enzymatic, similar to our own bodies. And this kefir cultures are different than your yogurt culture. So that supports a different type of bacteria strain in your gut. So this is a really good addition. If you are traditionally using like an almond milk as a base for your smoothies, you could add this in several times a week and really support your body that way. And next I want to talk about skin. So I had mentioned a little bit, I studied, I lived abroad, I lived in Tokyo for a year, and they have got stuff figured out over there. Has anybody ever been to Japan? It's an amazing culture, and they make some of the best green tea on this planet. And I think part of the benefits of so much of what they grow over there is because the country is a series of different islands that are on volcanic rich soil. So the soil is minerally dense, which is great because most of the time our issue here is that we have a lack of minerals. And that's where we're talking a little bit about chromium and selenium. But one of the things that I love to recommend for skincare, and this is not just external skincare, it's internal skincare. The gut, it's an internal mucous membrane, it's internal skin. Whatever is going on inside your gut is going to represent and mirror on your skin. So if we're dealing with eczema, psoriasis, cystic acne, I don't look at it as your skin or your face or your back or your scalp. I'm looking at it as what part of the gut is inflamed. And green tea, true matcha, Japanese green tea, is fantastic for a lot of things. It's great for anti-aging, and it's great for gut healing. It is a super powerhouse of nutrient density and mineral density. And now you can get this powder a lot more easily than you could 10, 12, 15 years ago. I used to have my friends mail me matcha because I couldn't find it. But now you can get Japanese imported green tea. And you can add this to anything. I will make an avocado pudding, and I'll add matcha to it. And then I'll add a little cocoa powder, and it's really, really rich. Add a little maca for some stress balancing. And you can do a lot with this. And so I want to encourage you to look at not only using matcha as a tea form, but you can actually cook or add it into a lot of the items that you're already consuming. It just fortifies it more. And then the other thing that is really crucial, and this definitely is more on trend, but I've been out of the trend for years, ginger. This is a beautiful ginger root. Ginger and turmeric. Roots like these are very dense in minerals, but they're also anti-inflammatory. And when we look at trying to optimize and maximize your wellness and get to your healthiest, most optimized self with energy and hormone balancing, minimizing inflammation in your body is absolutely at the utmost. And so there are a lot of benefits ginger has on your digestive system. Hot spots in the small and large intestine greatly are reduced and minimized, sometimes just by consuming ginger. And now turmeric is even more readily available. This happens to come from sprouts, and they come in this great like little canister like you buy your strawberries. So you can really go nuts on live, fresh turmeric root. And there are great teas and milks where you can take ginger and turmeric and add in almond milk or any of the like hemp milk. But this is really, these two things are your lifeline to minimizing your aging process. Inflammation causes the most oxidative stress on our body. And so if you're eating organic and you're meditating and doing yoga and you still have physiological inflammation, that's going to kick up the cortisol, and then it's that vicious cycle. So inflammation is really, really key. Anybody doing any anti-inflammatory diets right now? So autoimmunity really benefits from the inflammatory related roots. This is really, really crucial. And last and final, I have my little banner over there. I actually, globally, all of those topics, hormones and gut and skin, I work with CBD. I don't know, how many are you? How many is consuming? Yay, all right. I wasn't sure. So CBD therapy is amazing. And we actually have a system, a body system that really gets hardly any type of coverage in our medical journals, and not necessarily medical journals research, but like the actual books the medical doctors are learning about body systems. The body, the way it works, we have an endocannabinoid system that is so amazing for controlling our hormones, our sleep, our stress, and it has a huge role in minimizing our inflammation levels, which is great for our skin, it's great for our overall health. So CBD is on my list of things I wanted to talk to you about. You can take these topically. They come in different oils, different tinctures. You can also take them transdermally. There are companies I work with that we get a patch, and it's literally a pain patch, a transdermal delivery, which is awesome if you're recovering from injury or have chronic related pain or digestive grief. You can put this patch on. It looks like a big round Band-Aid. It can stay on for up to 96 hours, which is pretty phenomenal. And then you also, now we're seeing roll-ons where you can literally roll on. It has arnica and a whole bunch of other nutrients within it that can minimize your inflammation. And that's, again, going back to using skin as another delivery mechanism. And one of the things with CBD topically, I work with a ton of folks that have really intense digestive issues, Crohn's and colitis, and sometimes they're just not consuming any type of food, maybe SIBO. And we find that topical applications work around the digestive process. And we translate that medicine differently than we do when we digest it. So that's one of the reasons why I also brought that breast oil. Similar type of concept in terms of how is it integrated into the system. So those are tools and some tips that I hope you ladies will find helpful and implement in your daily lives. And I really wanted to just deliver some powerful information. You can literally, on your way home, grab some goods, take some teas tonight, and start taking some things tomorrow so you start to feel better. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that presentation, and stay tuned to tomorrow's special where I'm going to share with you the live Q&A that I had with these individuals at the event. See you later.